Good morning, everyone. this is Curtis Hawks with Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be on the call with us today. We've got in my opinion, a very interesting topic given what's been going on in the marketplace. To where we'll discuss tax efficient ways to transfer wealth as well as to generate higher yields for your clients compared to maybe some of that money that's in CDs right now. Before getting into that, I did want to spend the first few minutes talking a little bit about some of the additional ways that IAMS is here to partner with you in your business. So first up is our new producer builders. You'll see a screen up there with a variety of different options at different point totals. And the great thing about this is we're here to help jumpstart your business with us. And so as you start producing business with us, you see that we've got a variety of options, whether it's cash, it's marketing reimbursement. We've got, if you want to get a weekend getaway, we've got a variety of things available. So that way we can meet you where you're at to help you to get to where you want to be. You're automatically enrolled in our new producer bonus when you first get contracted with us. And I would encourage you, if you've got questions on that, reach out and talk to one of the sales directors over here. Phone number is 800-255-5055. They're more than happy to answer any questions that you have on that. In addition to that, we've got a referred producer program. If you're currently working with us and you know somebody that might be a fit or know somebody that maybe isn't quite satisfied with where their business is at right now, send them our way. Not only will you get a $50 bonus when they get contracted, you'll get an additional $100 bonus when they place their first piece of business. And then on an ongoing basis, you'll continue to receive income from their production. You don't have to do anything. We'll take care of all the service and take care of the agent, but it's a great way to increase your revenue coming into the business. In fact, these are some of the biggest checks that we cut. I had a gentleman here in the second quarter even that his RPM program check was over $10,000 from people that he referred over. In addition to that, we have our marketing reimbursement program. You accrue $100 for every 100,000 of index annuity premium, and $200 for every 100,000 of SPL, as well as $200 for every 10,000 of target life with us. Need to mention back office support. I feel like everybody says they've got good service. I certainly think we've got some of the best in the industry, but what I would tell you is I think a spotlight really has been put on the service that your IMO provides over the course of the last couple of years with COVIDs. You've certainly seen with a lot of the carriers, some of them transitioned well into a COVID environment, some of them not so well. And so I think it really puts a spotlight on the team of people that you have at your IMO supporting you, whether it's on the front end with case design and illustrations to new business processing, licensing, et cetera. And so I would tell you, if you hadn't had an opportunity to test out our service, you certainly should, because we do it better than most. Technology is a core theme with who we are. So we do integrate with Firelight. In addition to that, we integrate with iPipeline as well for e-applications. You can log on and get onto those platforms right from our website. So we try to make it as easy as possible. We know a lot of agents are shifting to e-applications or even doing virtual appointments as well. So if you've got questions on that, reach out and talk to a sales director over here. Phone number is 800-255-5055. In addition to that, we've got our creative marketing solutions. And I think creative really is the key word. I think a lot of advisors over the last couple of years have taken a step back and really looked at their current marketing plans and really done some evaluating of how they want to market. Do they continue to just do face-to-face, or do they incorporate some element of virtual into what they're doing? And so our team can do virtually anything, whether it's web design, microsites, social media, print marketing collateral, logo design, you name it. And so one of the key benefits, I think, to working with them is there's certainly a variety of third-party marketing firms out there that you can go out and use. But when you think about the financial services space, for the most part, we deal in intangibles. And what I mean by that is we deal in the promise of a guaranteed income for life. We deal in the promise that if something happens to you, we're there with a check. We deal in the promise of upside potential of the market, but no downside risk. When you use a third party firm, they probably are working in a variety of different industries, from the HVAC person to the attorney to the restaurant, you name it. Well, you guys aren't just offering a discount or a coupon or a buy one get one free. And so some of the best practices that work in other industries do not necessarily translate over into the financial services space. And I think that's one of the core benefits of working with our firm. They specifically only work in the financial services space. And so the other aspect about that is they understand that it doesn't matter if they make something that looks good. What matters is the end result. Did it get a consumer to engage with you? Did it get somebody to raise their hand and say, tell me more about your company? And so that's a core focus of what they do. So I would encourage you, if you've got questions on how to access our creative team, reach out, talk to a sales director over here, and they can certainly help you out with that. I would also encourage you as well, if you're not quite sure what you need, we do offer a complimentary custom marketing analysis. And so this is where we'll go through, identify what your goals are, what your current marketing assets are, and then what options we think might make the most sense to accent what you're currently doing. And so you can certainly get one of those scheduled with the sales directors over here. In addition to that, we've got our IMS website. It's a host of resources. So not only can you do e-applications, as I mentioned, you can run annuity quotes, you can run life quotes on there. We've got a variety of information between our marketing corner, which is best practices when it comes to marketing. We've also got our on the move section that you can go and access, which is basically all of the current rate adjustments in the annuity space on a weekly basis, current and updated. We also have our sales resource library, which is literally hundreds of point of sale consumer facing pieces that you can instantly download and brand for your business. And it's got everything in there, from how does an annuity work and how does life insurance work, or what is an IRA? So basic things all the way to, we've got premium finance, what dollar, or a whole advanced market section on there. In addition to that, we've also got over 75 calculators on the site as well. So we've really designed that with the agent in mind to make sure that you've got all the resources you need at your fingertips. With the technology thing, we also offer Retirement Analyzer. Some of you might be familiar with the software platform. You can actually get access to this completely free by being a contracted agent with IMS. But one of the biggest fears that most retirees have in retirement is, am I going to outlive my income in retirement? And so Retirement Analyzer software does a very effective job in a simple and straightforward manner of showing that person how long their money's going to last, and put you in a position to be able to say, if what you thought retirement was going to look like was going to be different, when would you rather know? Now, or when it's too late to do anything about it? We can show you how we can reposition some assets to make sure that you generate the income that you're looking for in retirement. And so if you'd like to get a sample design or go through a case, just reach out, talk to one of the sales directors, and they can certainly answer any questions that you have on that. In addition to that, we've got IMS Wealth Management. We started this a few years ago, and part of the reason for that is we certainly have seen a trend over the last 10 years or so where advisors are going to incorporate AUM into their business and are starting to take a more comprehensive approach. And we think that trend will continue into the future. And so we've really designed the platform around that advisor who's selling annuities, or they're selling life insurance, or maybe they're doing both, and they want to add that AUM component to their business. And so they provide a very high service level. They do a very, very good job. I would encourage you, if you've thought about doing that, or maybe you currently are securities licensed and just aren't happy with your current relationship, reach out to Duncan and the team over there, and they can work with you and talk through the different features and things that we have available. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to Tony Zager. He's Regional Vice President with National Western. He's joined us for this morning. And as I mentioned, there's a huge opportunity in the marketplace. When you go out and look out there, there's literally trillions of dollars that are going to change hands in the coming decades. And we also, at the same time, I think most people recognize that we have an increasing tax rate environment. We just had the Inflation Reduction Act that's working its way through Congress, but I don't think most people think that our tax rates are going to go down in the future. And so that creates an opportunity in that consumers are going to be looking for tax efficient ways to accumulate wealth, as well as tax efficient ways to transfer wealth. And single premium life can be a very effective tool for that. In addition to that, it can be a very, very effective tool for dormant assets. When you look at the returns that you can get on some of these contracts compared to a CD, and then layer in tax deferral on top of it, it just makes a heck of a lot of sense. So Tony, I appreciate you taking some time with us today, and I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Curtis, and thanks for the opportunity here. I know we've had a long relationship with you guys, and we've had a lot of success with you guys as well, and appreciate the time today. And, to take it a step further on those tax rates too, if you look at those historically, not only does it look like they're going to increase, but I think few people really have seen the trend that we're in some of the lower tax rates that we've been in recent history since, even the 1960s. So they really have, I think, one way to go, and especially the way things are trending right now. But so the lifetime return select is here what I'm here today to discuss. And this has been a product that we have had since 2008, and that was actually my first year at National Western Life. So I've really been able to see this product line grow for us, and we've been a really consistent competitor in this space. Like, you'll look at single premium life, and there always is somebody out there who competes with us very well, and there's always just little subtle things that can really make a difference in the product, but there hasn't been a consistent competitor with us in that whole time frame. They kind of pop their head up out of the sand, and then they'll disappear, cut the product line, and or reintroduce it, and then another carrier will pop up. So we've really been a mainstay since 2008. We did about $4 million of production with this product at that time, and our goal this year is about 270 million, just to give you an idea of the growth that we've seen. And it's not only just the education and filling that need for leave on money and having an alternative for that against an annuity or traditional life insurance, but again, just I think agent awareness, comprehensive financial planning has really helped, and just getting the word out for opportunities like this. So without further ado, I'll jump right in here. So here's the key features of the product. We'll discuss all these in more detail, but again, it's simplified issue, point of sale underwritten. It takes about 15 minutes to get approved. Again, it's indexed universal life, so it's not whole life, which again is a difference that you'll see in a lot of these products. And so federal income tax-free death benefit obviously included. I'll often say, especially to the annuity producer, mainly annuity producer that maybe not writing a whole lot of life insurance, it is, that term life insurance can kind of scare some producers off a little bit, but this really is an annuity with a life insurance wrapper on it. It's I'll often say, the only thing that's truly life insurance about it is the greatest thing about life insurance, and that's the federal income tax-free death benefit. Living benefits also huge selling point to this product with chronic illness, return to premium. And again, I mentioned index universal life comes with the flexibility of loan capabilities and 10% free withdrawals. So it'll ride up to 85. We did have a recent increase in this maximum net amount at risk. So that's a natural question to say, well, how much can I put in this thing? And there really is no maximum dollar amount. It goes by net amount of risk, which is pure insurance. And so you're looking at the difference between the premium and the death benefit. And this, of course, the software will self-govern that for you. But this shows you the limits. We recently increased that 76 to 80 range to 200,000 net amount at risk. So it's a pretty good window there for those older ages, and then lowers down to 100,000 at the 81 plus level. So again, pure insurance, net amount at risk, driven by the maximum, and it's the difference between the two. So again, this is a leave on money product, and I remember coming into the business, I always tell this story, this may resonate with Curtis too, but we were given these list of profile questions really. And one of the first ones was, what are they looking to do with the money? What's the purpose of this? And I'd say usually about 30 to 35%, because I don't want to over exaggerate it, but I think it might have been more, was they don't really need the money. They just want to pass it on to their heirs. And at that time, we were really selling a lot of, mainly annuity, driven products. There weren't a whole lot of these single premium and point of sale underwritten products out there. And so had we had access to something like this, it would have been huge, because more oftentimes than not, it seems like they are running into that. And so it opens an opportunity for, especially obviously if they're insurable, which we'll get into finding out how, the ease and how simple that is to find out with this product. But it gives you something else to do with that money as opposed to sticking it into an annuity, when maybe accumulation for just accumulation's sake. It's one of those, if they're not accumulating to supplement their retirement or they don't need income to supplement their retirement, this type of product can definitely help fit your client, those client needs. And again, potential for cash value growth as well. It's not the fundamental cause of or reason to sell the product. I always throw a disclaimer out there, if accumulation is coming up in the conversation, then there are going to be better accumulation vehicles out there. At the end of the day, I can make this thing sound like an annuity with a life insurance wrapper or alternative all I want. It is a life insurance product. And so it does come with life insurance, policy fees and mortality and expenses and a premium load in the first year. And so it will take a little time to kind of recoup those throughout the life of the contract. And the illustration does a good job of doing that. But again, their premium's always protected, and also the death benefit is guaranteed for life as well. So these are the benefits here. The return of premium rider is not a an optional rider that comes on the product automatically. I think I have a slide on that later that I'll go into. It used to come as an option. It's now just on the product itself, along with the paid up rider, which has to do with loans after age 75. And then there's a terminal illness benefit on there as well. So if their life expectancy falls to under a year, they'll have access to 75% of their death benefit. And then we'll get into this optional rider, which again is a huge selling benefit, because it turns it into a live, die, quit product where you're essentially guaranteed to use this product at some point. And it's not just about well, I mean, natural human, nature is what's in it for me, right? And so that turns it into a benefit there, that it's not just for your heirs. It actually does have, for people that have, failed to plan, or maybe they feel like they're underinsured for potential healthcare needs in the future, like most Americans are. And then you look at the ongoing expenses and just the difficulty in underwriting to even get approved. And so these are great living benefits that don't add anything to the underwriting process as well. So the simplified issue underwriting process. So the first thing you'll do is there's knockout questions on the application. So there's 12 of them. Those are the pre-underwriting questions. That's where you're really going to want to start to find out if they're insurable. And I always recommend too that, before getting into the benefits of the product and why you think that they would be a good fit for it, it may be an idea of like, hey, I've got a great alternative here. The only catch is not everybody qualifies for it. So before I really get into it, let's review these questions to see if you would even qualify for it, because you start talking about chronic illness benefits and return of premiums and federal income tax-free death benefits and those kind of things. It can be a tough transition back to just another annuity sale that isn't offering all these living benefits. So it's a great idea to start it with those questions. Make sure they can get through. We've got a 93% approval ratio on the health interviews after those questions are answered correctly. So if they do answer yes to any of those questions, then you can stop right there. There isn't any sort of leeway or gray area there. They have to be able to be answered no for all 12 of those questions. Then you move on to a health interview. Again, that's done point of sale, takes about 10 minutes. It's through a company, a third-party subsidiary, and takes about anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. The one thing about the health interview that I always recommend too is to make sure, just again, if you haven't done this process before, is, you know, the thing that gets caught up a lot are these prescriptions. And I always go back to kind of my grandparents, where it seemed like they had like a little mini tackle box for their prescriptions. And, you know, it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and everything's in there. You don't know exactly what it is or how much of it and why you're taking it. So it's always good to get all those prescription bottles out, because they're going to do a script check during that interview and an MIP check. Never a paramed, never an APS unless you request it. But it's good to get those out. It helps speed up the process and avoid any perceived confusion, as it were, because that's kind of their job. When they're not meeting with the client, they're doing it over the phone. They're not necessarily trying to trip them up, but they're definitely paying attention to how well they know these questions and those kind of things. And then submit the application from there. It's all done. You can do it on paper, of course, but it's available. Curtis mentioned Firelight, where we have EAP capabilities there. So really, the process can not only be approved, it can be in good order and coded into our system, all within that 15 to 20 minute period of time. So, you know, the ease of the transaction, it is unparalleled, really, you know, because you bypass the mail, you bypass a lot of human hands. And if you're new to, you know, a new product and a new application, obviously it can be quite, you know, a little bit confusing as to missing signatures or different little areas of the application. So the Firelight EAP process essentially makes it to where you can't do it incorrectly. And again, it immediately gets coded into the system. 65% of the apps we get in are what they call NIGOs, not in good order. And so essentially those go into a separate pile. They're not coded into the system as fast as the good order applications, and they get moved to the back of the line. So I always recommend EAP on those whenever possible. So this illustrates here, this is the little case plan for Debbie. So this shows you the kind of leverage that you can get from a lifetime return select policy here. Let's see what, yeah, the split ticket. Okay, so this shows you what $65,000 will do for Debbie here, whereas, you know, she's got other options, obviously, but this is leave on money that she wants to do. She can create a death benefit of $112,000. This gives her almost $48,000 of tax-free leverage right here, federal income tax-free leverage to leave on to her heirs. And the thing that I really like about how this thing is laid out is you don't need $100,000 to leave $100,000. And a lot of times when you're dealing with clients with leave on money, that money may be in a bank or in a, you know, a different type of cash asset, like a money market fund, something safe that they've already got plans for. And so it's really that extra question, right? That's what a lot of our top producers will say is, what other monies do you have that you're planning on doing something with, right? Because I know you've got a goal for this money. It may be for income to help supplement your retirement or other worries you have, but do you have other money set aside? Because a lot of times they don't want to talk about that money. They've already got a game plan for it, but they don't realize that this is out there and this is available. And so, you know, you look at a $65,000 bank account in a CD or a money market fund, she's going to leave that on by simply just repositioning it. That's why it's called savings-based insurance. By simply repositioning this into the lifetime return select, she can now leave $112,000 plus some change. And not only that, but she has an accelerated benefit account of over $100,000 in case something should happen to her for potential healthcare needs in the future as well. So, you know, it's a leverage builder. It's really just a savings-based insurance product also by repositioning assets. And that additional question of what other monies do you have that you're planning on leaving on to your heirs or that you have plans for. And, you know, maybe, you know, the 65,000 too, you know, maybe that's all she's planning on leaving. Well, she only probably needs close to, you know, $40,000 to do that. So now she's got an additional $25,000 to do something else with, right? And And so that could be anything. Maybe she wants to travel, do work on her house, or even add more income to her retirement, whatever it is. But it can definitely, open that up. Meaning, in this example, you don't need $65,000 to leave $65,000, but it's usually the $100,000 example. But you can create that leverage and open up a lot of other avenues there. And then here's another split ticket. And okay, so this was, I got a little ahead of myself on the 100,000, but this shows you right here on this one for a 65-year-old male, you've got the $100,000 single pay. So now he can grow that to 167,000. Or if he just wants to leave the 100, he needs about 60,000. So he just created $40,000 of additional money for income to supplement his retirement, or again, if he's got plans to do something else, he can certainly do that, or he can maximize it. And so you do have a lot of different ideas, and you start talking about income riders and annuities and how they do eat away at cash values. We do see a lot of other split ticket types of concepts for income. So now I've got enough money to provide the income that I need. Maybe I've got a $500,000 asset, just at number out of the blue, but I only need about 350 of that to provide the income needs that I'm looking for to fit my financial goals. That leaves 150. But the problem is, if I live too long, then that's a good problem to have, don't get me wrong, but if I live too long, I'll eat away at that cash value. This is a really good income replacement vehicle as well for that cash value bucket, where now, okay, well, let's throw the additional 150 over here and grow this up, and this will provide that legacy if that's a worry of your clients, to help offset the cash value depletion through income riders. And so a couple of sales ideas there on the split ticket, but I want to go back to these. I thought I had slides on these return of premium. So the return of premium is good for from day one, but the important thing to keep a note on here is there is a 3-year chargeback on that rider. So it starts at 100%, goes down to 75% in year 2, and then it'll go down to 50% in year 3. And so that's, again, I talked about some subtle differences between products and what can kind of get lost in the fine print a little bit. There's a lot of carriers out there that do have full chargebacks for 2 years or even 3 years on some products. Ours is the declining scale. It'll go again for 3 years. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. And what I'll always recommend, especially on larger cases, is to split those policies up. Because most of the time, if we see a return of premium when talking with the agent, they don't really need all of the money back. They maybe just need more than their 10% free withdrawal is capable of. And so what they'll do is cash out the whole contract, right? Because they don't want to pay surrender charges on a partial surrender over the 10% free withdrawal amount. So the free return of premium is good for full surrenders only. So now if I've got say a couple $100,000 case, I can split that up into maybe a 50,000, a 50,000, and 100,000, right? So now if I have a client with a financial emergency, let's say, she can cash a $50,000 policy out, and it'll help really leverage the risk of a full return of premium on a $200,000 case. And so there is a strong commission on this product, and so it is something that 3 years down the line you don't really want to be worried about, with a chargeback on a return of premium rider. And so it's a good way to leverage that risk. There is a max net amount of risk on the premium, but there's no maximum amount of applications per client. And by utilizing the e-app, you can actually save the application in there. So you don't have to rewrite 3 different applications either. In that example, you would just submit it 3 different times by changing the face amount and create 3 different policies there. And it's also just one underwriting process as well. So that was the only pushback I've gotten, is I don't want to fill out 3 apps. Well, I guarantee you your first return of premium chargeback, if it did happen, it would change your mind on the work of filling out an extra application. But again, the e-app helps to settle that a little bit as well, by being able to save those applications and not have to redo all the work there. So food for thought on some protection ideas on the return of premium rider. And again, it doesn't matter if the premium or the cash value goes down to 0 on that policy. That is good. The return of premium rider is good for the entire life of the contract there. So now the optional chronic illness benefit, that is, again, is laid out in the illustration. Let me see, bear with me here. I'm sorry about this. I thought I had a good slide on this. I think I just pulled up the wrong presentation here. There we go. Yeah. This will help lay it out a little better. So I know there's auditory learners and there's visual learners, right? So let's try to do it both ways here. So here's the terminal illness that I mentioned. This is already on the policy. It's a living benefit rider, also known as, but that'll pay 75% of the death benefit. The paid up rider, again, is in case of a loan. That's for ages 75 plus. This gives you a little bit more information on it. It's really laid out well in the brochure, but this shows you, you know, the benefit there. But I don't really get into the paid up rider because it's really, you know, it hasn't come up much. Loans aren't typically used on this product that well either. You know, you start getting into more traditionally paid index universal life and advanced marketing techniques. This product is really not used for that. This is a single premium in nature, very simplistic. This is more of a wealth transfer legacy planning tool. So here's the return of premium rider. Okay, here we go. So the accelerated death benefit rider for chronic illness. It'll pay 2% of the death benefit a month or 24% annually. That will be up to you and your client on how you'd like to get paid on that. But it's 2 of 6 ADLs to qualify, along with 90 days of care. So it's not, again, the subtleties of the verbiage. Again, this is where it comes into play. Is it's not confinement, it's not nursing home. It is just any type of care. It could be home health care, adult daycare, assisted living, anything that qualifies under the term care will qualify for this rider. And again, it's 2 of 6 ADLs. It's something they can turn off later on if they'd like to, but it'll pay that face amount down to $12,500. And you'll see here too, total benefit amount cannot exceed $500,000. So that is another benefit, especially on larger cases, of splitting up policies, because now if you've got a situation where your death benefit is over $500,000, well, $512,500, right? You'd want to split that up just in case, because that's per policy, not per client. And so not only have you protected yourself, you know, from a return of premium standpoint and leverage that risk a little bit, but you can also maximize your accelerated benefits here for chronic illness for higher net worth clients and higher face amounts. So again, turns it into the live, die, quit, which I said earlier. You know, if they die, they get the, you know, federally income tax-free death benefit. If they live and need access to it for potential healthcare needs in the future, there's your chronic illness benefit. If they want to quit, they can return the premium anytime, or get a return of premium anytime that they'd like. So a lot of options there, and it's a product that you're certainly guaranteed to use. So again, here's the dollar amounts for the 2%. Again, California only on these. The difference with California is, and I don't know if there is anybody out there from there, it's how it's paid. And we've got workarounds too, where we can actually access the 24% instead of it just being 2. We can still pay the 24%, but as it's listed, that's what they requested. So, but again, it's all about how it's paid. The benefit's the same, and the qualifiers are the same. So there's the 10% free withdrawals available the second year. There's the surrender terms. Again, return a premium at any time. So, but again, it's only on full surrender, so that'll come up a little bit. So, and Curtis, I don't know if you want to open it up for any questions for me. I've kind of run through most of the material I have. I do have a couple other case, you know, studies here that just illustrate the leverage, you know, especially with older stock accounts, or, you know, people that have been at the gambling table for a while, or maybe it's time to cash a few chips out,
I think it's an interesting concept where you can harvest some of those gains and convert those into a tax-free basically asset that can transfer on. So I certainly think there's something to be said about that. One, so let me do a couple of things here because I'm gonna launch the first of two polls here while we're talking. First of which is if you'd like some more information on what Tony's talked about. I know that oftentimes we have reps who maybe traditionally sell annuities that start looking at SPL, and I know one common concern that we get is, well, there's underwriting. Do I even want to mess with that, or should I just write the annuity? And I think one important thing that you mentioned is that, I mean, you guys have a knockout questionnaire that we can get over to the agent to where they can, I mean, if they answer yes to any of those, we don't even look at it as an option, correct?
Correct. Yep. And I think I have a copy. Are you still sharing my screen, Curtis? Can you still see my screen here?
Let me, so I'm going to go ahead. If anybody wants to fill out the poll, go ahead and do that, and then I'll shut that down. Then it should pull your screen back up here. So I'll go ahead.
Okay, no worries. I was going to pull up a copy of those underwriting questions, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that'd be good to get a sense of that. And we've got that form here for everybody on the call today. So if you want us to send that out, just reach out, talk to one of the sales directors here.
Okay, I've got those pulled up, so I'm not sure if you can see those yet, but they're ready for when you are.
Yeah, okay, I can see that on the screen.
Oh, okay, great. So the big ones here, some of them are a little bit loaded. I say 12 questions, but you'll notice there's like A, B, A, B, C, and D. So there could be a little bit to those, but the big ones are like the last 2 to 3 years type questions. So we're very friendly on this insulin question, number 7, for instance. Taking insulin prior to age 40, that would obviously knock them out. But really these last 2 years, diabetic complications within the last 2 years, within the last 3 years, have you been diagnosed with leukemia or cancer? So in that diabetes and cancer range, given that a 2 to 3 year window, that makes us a little bit different that way in terms of our underwriting ease. But that would be one area. And then of course you'll see 10s the last 2 years for these. There's quite a few of these different types of questions, but it's really going to fall into care, and if they've received any type of care within that last period, because we've run into that a few times as well. And the other thing too on the underwriting that I'll recommend is, be there with your client when you do the call. It's not something that's mandatory, but I think it helps the process. And then seen, unseen business will come up every once in a while. So you're going to want to have seen your client within the last 45 days. And since this COVID thing has happened, we're allowing like Zoom calls, FaceTime, those kind of things to count as seen business. But that'll be the first question they ask is, have you seen your agent in the last 45 days? So just make sure that you're ready for that when you're going to want to have, again, the prescriptions out and available. So when they walk through that script check, they know what's going on that front as well. And those are really the two big ones.
Okay. So, do you have a sense for like what is the average turnaround time? Like how many days in underwriting do you typically see from submit to issue?
It's a tough one. Normally they're ready to rock and roll by the time we get the money. So we're usually just waiting on the funds. But I usually throw out, 3 business days, but the money's usually not here by 3 business days anyway. So we're usually the ones waiting on the money to come in after we've reviewed it. And we don't do any of the underwriting in-house. So it's all just, and especially when it comes in through EAP. So if it comes in by paper and it's not in good order, that can be a game changer. As I mentioned, this thing is kind of a finely tuned machine. And once it gets off the rails, not that it's hard to get back on, but it can certainly backlog a little bit. I mentioned 60 to 65% of the apps we get are NIGOs, which is not in good order, and that can definitely affect the turnaround time. But if it comes in good order, anywhere from I usually say 4 business days just to give us an extra day, but usually 3.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna launch our second poll here real quick, and then we've got another question from the audience here. So one, if you want to get contract National Western, go ahead and fill out the poll and we'll get that process started. But I had a question about, does this work for younger ages? Would this work for somebody in their 40s or 50s if they had a chunk of money that they wanted to transfer on, or maybe a chunk of money to let sit for a while and then maybe make a decision on it in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it'll write as low as 45. So it definitely does. And you're right, it's a repositioning tool, and it provides, that benefit, especially, I mean, I don't know as a 45-year-old how worried you are about chronic illness at this point, obviously. But it's something that is available there. We've seen that as, even, I hate to get into like college planning and those kind of things, because there's so many other things out there that are available for that. And I mentioned this really isn't like an advanced marketing tool, but we've had agents that have used it for that, for younger individuals that want to create that leverage just in case something happens to them. You can get in it quick, you can keep it for 3 or 4 years and get out of it. And so there's just a lot of flexibility there and a lot of different ways you can use it, but you got to be at least 45.
Okay. And then what was the minimum premium amount on the product?
Minimum face amount's 25,000.
Okay. So I know that we've get this question a bunch, and I think SPL can be a good option for it, but sometimes you'll run into somebody who they have an existing annuity and it's qualified, let's say, and that money is more than likely just going to transfer on, and taking a free withdrawal out of that and paying it up an SPL product can be a really efficient way to at least create a tax-free bucket of money. So that way, when that does transfer on, they've got something there to pay the tax liability. I mean, do you see those types of sales with the product at all?
Yeah, we do. We actually have another version of this product called the Lifetime Return Solutions that has an immediate annuity built into it. So it'll allow for qualified transfers into the product, and then the SPIA, it's embedded in the product, even though it's handled kind of separately internally. But it's the same underwriting process. It's the same UL product. It just has that SPIA built into it. So you can do it a couple of different ways. Because with the solutions product, you lose the living benefits. You don't have the accelerated death benefit rider, and you don't have the return of premium. And so, if you'd like to go the SPIA route yourself, or because we will allow 5 and 10 pays on this product, but we do a fair amount on the solutions option, and it's not restricted to qualified money, but it's certainly 95% of the business we get on it is qualified money.
Okay, so then there's basically a couple of different paths here between the two products. If you've got a scenario where you want to convert the entire account into a tax-free asset, then you could go down one path. And if you've got a scenario where I would just want to take a free withdrawal and just pay up an SPL, then you got that option as well.
Correct. And then I don't know if you can see my screen here, but here's the solutions highlight sheet. It's really similar. The underwriting process is the same. I don't even know if this highlight sheet would answer any questions actually that you'd have, but there's a 5 or 10 pay option on the SPIA. And so it provides, just the ability to spread out a bunch of little 1099s as opposed to one big one. That's really the benefit. And, we talk about qualified money for retirement assets, and it really is great because you're going to defer the taxes and do all these great things with it, defer the gains, but it's the worst asset you can have to leave on to your heirs because it's 100% taxable, right? So.
Okay. So we've got a couple more questions here. One, and maybe while you're answering some of the other ones, we had one question was if you could put the ROP slide back up again,
Yep.
so they could see that.
Let's see here. Looks like that's the only slide there.
Okay. And so I think the key points on that is that's automatically included in the contract day one, not a waiting period. I think the only thing that the agent needs to be cognizant of is the chargeback period, correct?
Yes, 3-year chargeback on that, full for the first year. And then just keep in mind the ways, like I spent quite a bit of time on leveraging that, because almost every time I hear of a return of premium, it's not because they need all the money. They just need a chunk of it, or more than the free withdrawal is capable of giving them. So it's a really good hedge against that, against that return of premium risk. And we don't see it that often. I mean, I think out of, like, we did about 250 million on this product last year. I think it was like less than 2%, of the business we see actually get returned. So agents do a good job of, finding the right clientele for this product, and not just trying to get in there for a quick hit, and then get returned, later on because they weren't a good fit for it. So, but it's just a good protection to split those up.
Okay. And then just on this product, because I know there's some single premium products out there, like in the asset-based space, where you can add two parties on this. Everything under your guys' umbrella is single life. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
But I mean,
Um,
when I say single life, they're called single premium universal life products, but we do have a 5 and 10 pay option on the select. We just don't see a whole lot of it because you can't create quite as much death benefit leverage as you do on the single pay, but it's available.
okay. And then I actually think if you can go down to the surrender page, I think that's what that agent was. I just got another note from him on that. So talking about the free withdrawals and surrenders.
Let's see here. Oh, right. No, that's not it. Oh, here we go. Free partial surrender. That it?
Yeah, I think that's it. And is that the 10% free withdrawals? Does that start year one or does that start year two?
Year 2.
Okay.
And it'll drop the death benefit program.
Okay. And then I think the last question we had is the entire death benefit is tax free, not just not just the death benefit above and beyond the premium, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, perfect. Well, I think that's the balance of the questions that we had here. So, Tony, I appreciate you taking some time with us today. For those of you on the call, we'll certainly have my sales directors reach out to you and follow up. We've got some additional marketing collateral around this, but hopefully, what you've seen from the presentation today is similar to what we have, which is I think there's just a huge opportunity in the marketplace for these types of products. People are looking for ways to grow wealth tax efficiently, and they're looking for ways to transfer it tax efficiently. And there's a lot of dormant money on the sidelines that you can come in with a product like this and generate better leverage, yield, get the assets into a more tax advantage position. And I think National Western's done a very good job of making a very streamlined new business process and being able to get somebody through that process in a short period of time and know whether this is an option for them or not. So with that, appreciate everybody taking time with us this morning and hope everybody has a wonderful week. Thank you.
Thanks.